For your Caesar.
It's a 10 pose production.
For your Caesar.
Maxwell Beats.
For your Caesar. Cardiff City, ride with me for your Caesar. For your Caesar. Cardiff City, get litty for your Caesar. She want a diff boy. Swagger 1 point, yeah, diff boy. She want a diff boy. Swagger 1 point, yeah, diff boy. For your Caesar. Grab a little something for your Caesar. We the geezers. Swagger stone cold like freezers. She want a diff boy. She want Starvz, not fit.
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the Breakdown Podcast. It's Sunday evening. It's time to break it all down, as it were. But welcome back. We'll wait for some of the stragglers, the latecomers, as they get their notifications. I can't retweet on Twitter because my phone's decided to crash. Excellent. Good start. First of all, I'd like to make an apology. So the video which went out this morning or lunchtime, I edited the tag, Graham Kavanagh advert on the end of it, and I done this funky thing where it was like a VHS tape going in, sound effect, blah blah blah, to transition into the ad, and then I put like a little bit of like radio static from the 90s over it. But for some reason, when I did that it was only supposed to be like a 10-second thing, but it seemed it went over the whole video. And in my rush to get it out before I had to leave for my son's football, I didn't triple check it. So apologies on that front. So it's got this weird static effect throughout the video. What can I say? I'm very sorry. Hopefully you were still able to get the gist of it. But Cardiff City dominated Rotherham, I think, even in the first half, where I actually thought Cardiff, we weren't dreadful in the first half, but I didn't think we were great. We kept the ball all right. Some lovely diagonals from Will Fish and co, but we just didn't quite have that sort of cutting edge. I thought we lacked a bit of urgency in the first half, but second half, he definitely told them to move the ball a bit quicker, and we did so. And we could have come away with 4 or 5. Really, their keeper makes a couple of good saves. Is what it is. As I said in the video earlier, I really the whole thing with Mafiko kind of caught me like in the fields, shall we say, because look, he was finding it difficult. I don't think he was playing badly. He wasn't helped by a couple of the balls from Trott were really like waist high and bouncing, like they were difficult to control, and he tried to control them and they went out. He was obviously nervous, and the Rotherham players noticed that. They stuck a couple of left a little bit on him a couple of times, which I was really pleased to see. The one time it happened, Ruben chased the guy down and just fouled him, psychological, like sticking together. But as soon as he got booked and then made that foul, the Rotherham bench were all asking for the second booking off that foul. So he was probably coming off half-time anyway. But he had to come off earlier then because it was just one challenge. And they were, as teams do, they'd have been falling down, winding him up, trying anything possible to get him sent off. So, and that would have been, a much more of a problem or a disaster for the poor lad, like if he gets sent off in his first game in the first half or something like that. So it was the right decision by BBM, but it also shows the glaring issue that we have with left back. Joel Bagan cannot play every game anyway. So it turns out, I think someone said he'd been in hospital or at the A&E earlier this week. Like, he really probably shouldn't have played, by the sounds of it, or should have been given a rest. It shows the need for a left back. Now, could we have, in hindsight, rested Bagan Wednesday in the League Cup? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, if he was feeling all right, then I don't know. It's what it is. But like, Mafiko is an excellent midfielder, and he's young and he's slight. He needs to bulk up a little bit. But the reaction, and not just from the fans, but as he came around the back of the goal, Callum Robinson was the first one to him, then Callum Chambers. They all got around him. And even after the game, when the fans were all clapping the team off, I I can't remember who it was. It might have been Nayakawa, or I can't remember who it was. One of the players told him to sort of accept the clapping, and he gave a little thumbs up, and he seemed all right. I'm sure he understands. And one of the things that has impressed me about Brian Barry Murphy is his coaching and his man-to-man management. And the way he spoke about Mafiko after the game is, first of all, it's true by all accounts. From everything I hear, he's absolutely an elite number 6 at that level, and it's gonna, got to give him time to get to the first team level in that position. But it's clever, isn't it? You've had to take him off. He's going to be down because he's a human being, and you build him right back up. And again, the fans, the players, everyone was around him. I thought it was excellent. And I got to say, I don't understand, the criticism that Joel Bagan gets. I'm not saying he's perfect by any means, but I think he's one of the more reliable, 6.5, 7 out of 10 every week. And I thought actually against Swindon in midweek, he was excellent. He was really, really good. And he was a big part of our build-up play. But of course, we need another left back. And I actually think if we can get another left back, but in a different profile, in more of the kind of K Pacquiao profile, someone who's a bit more pacey and attacking and progressive thinking, you've got quite a nice mix of fullbacks then between Bagan and NG, maybe more of those kind of clever sort of passing mid fullbacks who are going to invert a little bit, although Bagan does get forward. And then you've got those kind of pacey attacking fullbacks as well with the other two. But we're going to get into it with the transfer window. For me, I think the changes that Brian Barry Murphy has been able to make in a short space of time is quite impressive, considering we've got one player in who's a goalkeeper. We've lost a lot of players, lost a lot of experienced players. So for him to get this team and get rid of any sort of hangover, because normally if a team gets relegated, you're looking to get in some fresh faces, so they haven't got that feeling of the anxiety, the pressure, the bad feeling of losing week in, week out. Well, certainly not winning week in, week out. But he's doing a real good job of changing the culture. The squad looks together, the team looks together. Even a couple of the players who, I'm pretty sure are not happy for one reason or another. There's a couple of them who are not happy, but they're still on board with the team, the group ethic, the manager. It's just they're not happy with their particular position, maybe in the squad or whatever it may be, and that's okay. Even just as an example, I don't mean this in with that, but one of the things which struck me yesterday, right? Callum Robinson over his Cardiff career, I think sometimes he can get stuck in his own head if he's not scoring goals. I think sometimes he can be frustrated if he's not starting. He's a human being, he's a footballer, he wants to play. And I thought yesterday, I thought he was quite poor with his football when he came on, but he fought for every single bouncing ball, every loose ball. He was constantly pressing, and the game was over, really. There was nothing on it, but he didn't stop. I like that, because that to me is a player who wants to play and show his worth. That's your opportunity. When you're on the bench and you come on and the game is pretty much won, show your worth still. I thought him, Joel Colwell, and the others did a real good job. And Joel Colwell provides a bit of an issue because Ryan Wintle is playing really well. David Turnbull has just put in probably his two best performances in a Cardiff City shirt in Swindon and yesterday. You're not going to drop Ruben. So Joel Colwell's almost unfortunate not to be playing. Could you play Joel at a 6? I think is a big ask at this stage of his career. He's perfectly capable of it, but I do like a bit of experience in there. But he's definitely got the legs. Has he got the discipline to hold the middle because the other two play so high, particularly at home? It's an interesting one. It's good to have depth. We need some pace, I think, in the wide areas. I was very, very, very happy to see Ollie Tanner on the left and Ashford on the right. Ashford looks way, way better on the right anyway. But I think Ollie Tanner looks better on the left. I think he looks comfortable. His first touch is exquisite, and he works really hard. Even in the second half, where a few things didn't go his way, his work rate was second to none. And I'm having that. Like, all of the players, like, they seem to be working and pulling in the same direction, and that's all you can ask. I don't think we've hit anywhere near peak. I think it's still a work in progress, and they're unbeaten. They've got 100% home record, and you're going to have tougher tests. Of course you are. You can only beat what's in front of you. And I think Port Vale aside, we've comfortably really won all three games, the other games. I thought Will Fish again looked very comfortable next to Dylan Lawler. For whatever reason, and I'm not saying it's because of Callum Chambers. I don't know what the reason is. I said it in pre-season. Will Fish and Callum Chambers look more comfortable when they're alongside Dylan Lawler. And I think that probably speaks highly of Dylan Lawler, that they trust him and they feel comfortable. I thought Will Fish was excellent yesterday. His long balls, like, such a difficult skill to nail it, like, to the person's foot. And he did it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times out to Tanner in the first half hour, just pinged on a sixpence. And it is what it is. Like, people will have their preferences and their favourites. For me, those two are probably the preferred centre-backs. And just on Brian Barry Murphy, like, dropping Callum Chambers was a big indicator of there's a change in culture, because I can't remember the last time we've seen something like that, like a senior player or a captain being dropped because the performances haven't been at it. Now, I'm sure they'd say rotated or whatever, but the last 2 games he's played have been howling. Not good at all. And the others have done better, so they should be playing. So that's a big decision. And I think I want a manager who's picking on merit. I want a manager who's making the big decisions, and he's doing that. And tactically, I think, like I said, I think we're a work in progress. But I think I seeing more and more of what he's trying to do. More and more, I think the players get it. I said to Lakey on Tuesday at the game, I said, one of these days, one of these games is going to click and we're going to give someone an absolute pasting. I don't think that was it yesterday. Like, I don't think that's the game. I think we did a lot of good stuff. I would like to see us be a little bit more clinical, and I'd like to see us pull a trigger in certain spots a bit earlier. But some of the one-touch football yesterday was really exciting. And I look at what Brian Barry Murphy has done. I look at what we need, and I just think, wow, if you can give him that and give him players he wants in the process, not just give him players that play in the positions we need, give him the players he wants, then I think it's a real exciting starting point for Cardiff. And it's not just about the short term, it's about the long term. Average age, again, 22 years old. So if you can give him the right players and he can take us up this year, it's a long, long way to go. But I'm just saying, if we're able to go up this year with this young squad, you can really build for the next few years. But you've got to back him. And I can't buy this excuse that the players aren't available or that, because they are. There is several players who improve our starting 11, let alone our squad, who fit the profile that he wants, fit the age profile, and fit the club profile, if you like, of price. Like, I personally don't think that can be an excuse that the right players aren't there. I just don't buy that. And then it's got to come down to either he's being picky, the board or the owner is being a bit, slow, or they're being, the budget is very tight. But I mean, they were quick enough to tell us how much money they've saved on wages by releasing players. So we've saved all that money, but we got a big shortfall to make because of the TV deals and all that. But yeah, I don't think we don't need to spend millions and millions on players. We need to get the right players in. But I also think there's no need to panic I think we've had a good start to the season. Yes, it's going to be difficult. And you've got to understand as well, we're going to play probably 50 plus games this year. So you need players who can play. You need a couple in each position. And we look light in certain positions. For whatever reason, he doesn't seem to fancy Eli King at the moment, which is a bit weird because Eli impressed not only in preseason games, but in preseason training. So that's a bit interesting that he impressed, but he just hasn't really got a look in, even in the cup. So, like I said, there's plenty of games coming. So it's going to be interesting. What I can tell you is that I don't even know where it came from, but a couple of people asked me about it at the game yesterday, and that was Nathan Redmond and a couple of others training with the club. They're not. Nathan Redmond is not training with the club. Well, what I can tell you is Nathan Redmond did not train with Cardiff City last week. I had that straight from someone who's at the training. Nathan Redmond wants, so I don't know where that started, but I can certainly kill that rumor off for a start. From what I hear, not as good a source as that, but I'm hearing like there's a bit something in the Osho deal. Gabby, God knows what's happening with that. So the only additional thing I can add to the Gabby stuff, which I've said before, which was that we spoke to him at some point and they met him at some point, and it was pretty much agreed in principle, I guess, is that I did get told by someone who I pretty trust, that at some point in that process, someone else became available, which maybe changed their thinking that BBM likes. But we haven't brought anyone in. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's a weird one. And what's weird about it is the manager himself has said he wants to get a couple of quality players in. Now, if we don't bring players in and the window closes, you've got a problem. Because the manager's publicly said, the chairman, I think, said there was a couple coming in. So what has broken down there? What's happened? If that doesn't happen, if it doesn't happen, I would love to see fans be a bit patient as well with the team. Like the overreaction after the Port Vale game was insane. But I also understand the frustration. Like I said myself, I was very frustrated by it because it felt like same issues, same problems, same things. So it's definitely problematic. So Henry sent a message on Twitter, and he said there are 4 reasons why Vincent Tan should back BBM. Number 1, to further allow BBM to put his stamp on the squad with no hangover from last season. 100% agree with that. Like I said earlier, it's difficult when you get relegated, and then to have the same squad is very difficult to get a tune out of them because they've got that anxiety and they've got that feeling of not being very good. 2, he says, it's a brutal season with cup games. We're looking at potentially 50 games still to play, as I said. Number 3, do some prep for next season. Again, something I just said. And 4, pace. Yeah, pace is a big one. We look, as a team, right, generally, we look so good when we move the ball off 1 and 2 touch. And there's all these interchanges and rotation. We look dangerous. I think as well, and I said this to my son yesterday when we went 1-0 up. I said, I think we're going to be one of the worst teams to play against when we're 1-0 up. Because we'll happily hold the possession and we'll look after the ball. And we'll kind of suck teams in to press us because they've got to chase the game. And then we'll kind of strike and we'll move. And we have a lot of rotation within the shape of the team. And I think that makes it really, really difficult for teams to defend and stay compact when they're 1-0 down. But yeah, I'm interested in it's the breakdown, isn't it? So I'm interested in what you guys are saying. So let's go to the comments for a bit. Paul says, is it a club stopping BBM or is BBM being picky in what he wants to bring in, but also has to wait for Premier League clubs to release players for loans, etc. So there's definitely an element of the last bit with the Premier League clubs. They're tying up what they've got to do first couple of games. They have a look and blah, blah, blah. There's definitely an element to that. I think there's an element of BBM wants a certain profile of player, certain quality. But, like, unfortunately, I'm sure, like, I'm not the only one. I find it difficult to take what the board say as, like, on face value. I find it hard. And the main reason for that is, like, I hear all the time they want to communicate with fans more, but they don't. So when someone is disingenuous with what they say to you every time they speak to you, it's difficult to then take their words when they do speak to you as, like, the absolute truth. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. It's human nature. Now, all I have been told every time I've asked different people and every time I've done a bit of digging from the moment BBM came in is that he will be backed on ins and on outs. And he'll have the final say on outs as well. So if anyone leaves, he's all right with it. So if Jesper Darling goes, you have to assume that the manager's all right with it. I cannot believe that Cardiff City is a club and Brian Barry Murphy and his coaches, I do not believe that they think it's all right to get rid of Darland and just go through 50-odd games with Dylan Lawler, who's never had to play 3 games a week, Will Fish, who's himself was only 21, 22, and a Callum Chambers, who's, let's say, having some issues at centre-back. And then, maybe Perry NG can go in there as well as a centre back. Like, we can't think that's enough. If Darling goes, I think we needed a centre back anyway. But if Darling goes, we need at least one, surely, like maybe 2, really, unless they count Perry NG as an option, which I don't hate Perry NG as a centre back. I don't think that's the worst option against certain opposition. But JT says, best start in 8 years, 0 backing from the board. I'd be shocked if we sign anyone before deadline day. No, I do think we'll sign people. I just think, I've thought all along that it was going to be mainly loans, because I think the club is very, very obviously putting a lot of backing into our young academy players. I think that's clear. And I think if they go and sign a load of 22, 23-year-olds permanently, it halts their progress to a certain extent. However, I am of the opinion that if you sign someone, say I'm a 20-year-old at Cardiff City, whoever, they sign someone in my position who's a little bit older, a bit more experienced, but my position, I'm backing myself to still be good enough to force my way into that team. Because you have to have that belief as a footballer. If you don't believe that, like, you're never going to really succeed as a footballer. You have to believe that. But I've always thought we were going to be mainly loans. I'm surprised there was a couple of frees that I thought would have been quite appealing to the club. I don't think there's a lot of money, though. I don't. Like, we're financially in a mess, so I don't think we were ever going to spend loads of money. And I wouldn't be shocked if we've had to sell O'Dowda, sell Halworth at some point. Maybe, Darland as well. Maybe they've got to go out to bring players in. I don't know what the answer is. It's a very weird one. But every time I ask the question and I say, come on, why aren't we signing players? It's like, we will. They're backing the manager, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's nothing untoward with it. There's money there, or there's the ability to bring players in if he wants. It doesn't add up, I got to say. But I don't want to focus too much on the negatives because the positives have been so refreshing. But you can't ignore it equally. G-Ballers and Averin says, players will come in. I think maybe 3, maybe 4. Pretty relaxed about it. Have to give it some context and judge it when the window's actually shut. Yeah, I think that's ultimately what you've got to do is you've got to trust the process. So I know I saw a comment. Oh, there it is there, right? So JT there says, right, perhaps BBM should threaten to quit. Bullet did and got 5 players the next week. But I think, again, you've got to give it context. I believe the problem with Bullet and that point was that he felt he had been told one thing and then they were doing something else. As in, he was told he would get X, Y, and Z, the players he wanted, and then they didn't bring in a couple of those players, or they couldn't get it over the line, or whatever. And that was why he publicly kind of had a moan. Whereas, as far as I understand it, BBM came in, the club had a kind of shortlist which they'd worked up, which you'd expect. He decided that no, he wanted his list, or he wanted to do his own list. And then that's what they're working to, as far as I know. I'll have to do some more digging into that. I haven't checked like proper into that side of it for a couple of weeks, but just, I've been checking in on transfers and stuff. If they've got a plan, and the plan could very well be, let's bring in a left back on loan, because they think, much like Joel Colwell, they think after a season-long loan for Louis Giles, he's going to be ready to play next year because he's got the ability. I think it's more the physical side of it he needs to work on. So they might think, well, we don't want to buy a left back because Louis Giles is going to be good enough. He just needs to go and work on X, Y, and Z. So if he's going to go on loan, let's get a left back in loan. If you're waiting for a left back on loan from the Premier League, you've got to wait for them to be ready to release that player. Just as an example, what's that left back at United? Harry Amas is supposed to be going out on loan. He's a left back from United, but they haven't released him out on loan yet because they are waiting for players to be fit or get fit enough to play in the playing squad, etc. And I'm sure they're not alone in that, where they are keeping hold of young players for a couple or a week or two more or a few days more till the first team options are fit enough or ready in case they pull up with an injury. I think we'll do some late business. I do think that we'll see some come in this week, but then it does feel like I don't want to be too negative tonight, but I have been told for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, almost since he came in, this week. And you're like, now there's only 2 weeks left. So it's got to be this week. But let me ask you guys a question, right, in the chat. If we didn't bring anybody in and they said, right, Louis Giles is going to be the backup left back. Eli King and Mafiko will be the backup number 6s. Joel Colwell, Alex Robertson, Ruben, Turnbull will be the midfield options. The wide options will be Isaac, Willock, Tanner, and Ashford. The upfront options will be Yusuf, Callum Robinson, Isaac Davis, and you've also got the likes of Naya Kahawa. You've got Perry Ng at right back, and you've got the centre backs we've got. Is that the end of the day, end of the world? Is it? To me, I think, well, on one hand, I'm like, all right, that squad will probably do okay. But I think in the long, hard slog of a League One season, there will be a place, or there will be a time there'll be times and periods where that squad may struggle for physicality, for pace, for fitness. You've got a few players in there who do pick up injuries, but I am relatively relaxed about it. I'm not proper stressing. Maybe next Sunday, if we haven't brought anyone in, I might be a bit more but here we go. Bob Bank 27 there says, plenty of time left. Don't be surprised if nothing is done until deadline. Clubs wanting to use the loan out their youngsters. Going to see us as a really good options for the youngsters. Yeah. So Cardiff already have a very good reputation with Premier League clubs for looking after loan players and giving them playing time and, doing things the right way. With Brian Barry Murphy going in there now as well, that is going to go on tenfold because he's going to have a lot of contacts in the Premier League from his time in Man City's elite development system. He's going to obviously be dealing with those managers and coaches on a week-to-week basis from different clubs. So I think that we'd have got a good chance of getting Premier League players on loan, like youngsters. I guess the question is do we need more youngsters or do we need a bit more tried and tested? I'm not sure. I'll tell you one thing I will say is if there is any truth to Wrexham wanting Callum Chambers, I would say to them, only if you send O'Connell to us. O'Connell was in the team of the League One team of the year last year. He's a ball-playing, physical centre-back. He's really good. He's played under BBM before, so he knows how he wants to play. If that was a deal that could be done, I wouldn't be against it. Not that I massively want to sell Callum Chambers. I think my biggest issue is that I would rather see him in, if he's going to play, be in the number 6. But we shall see. Excuse me, very rude. I've just got to reply to this message very quickly because it's an urgent one. So ask me some questions and I'll answer them as the best I can. But how do you guys feel about the season so far? Like, do you think, is it all positive? Does that Port Vale game give you alarm bells? Do you think there was a overreaction to that Port Vale game? Like, I'm interested in what people think now with a bit of hindsight, having followed that up with a couple of good performances. Because, I like, with hindsight, I think we got a bit stressed from that Port Vale game when maybe just got to be a bit patient. Right, done. Sorry, I apologize. It was something which had to be sent now. Oh, I just things keep falling out my pockets. Right, let's have a look. Alex D. And by the way, shout out to the guys and girls who I met yesterday. Thank you very much for saying hello and stuff. And thank you very much for your kind words as well. I always, it's weird because I don't always know who I'm speaking to and stuff. But yeah, it's cool. Nonetheless, didn't take any photos yesterday. That was disappointing. Alex D says the most relaxed I've ever been. I've been in ages watching City completely dominated Rotherham. Absolutely, mate. I was comfortable against Peterborough, mate. Do you know, it's not just the attacking side of the football that we're playing. Defensively last year, we were an absolute shambles. We've only conceded 1 goal. So, got to be happy with that, I think. JT says, any club waiting until deadline day for deals shows the world how disorganized they are. These players should have been here 3 weeks ago. Yes and no. Like, I do accept that if you're leaving things to the last minute, you can be accused of being disorganized. But also, deals can be cheaper on deadline day. Some teams might not be sure if they want to let certain players go. And if it's a player you really want or you really think is going to improve your squad, you're more inclined to wait for them. But there's also, of course, you can't ignore the fact that Cardiff don't have a football structure. And is there any element of this which is because of that? Like, you can't ignore that. Jumpers for Goalpost says, NG and Robertson will be in squad contention soon. Yeah, the Luton game, I think, wasn't it? But will they get in the first 11? NG can cover both fullback positions. Isaac and Robbo can play 10. Spears and Louis Giles, bench potential. Do we need more? Well, I think Louis Giles is going on loan. I think Spears, as good as he is, I think it's a big ask to go. But then I guess you've got Perry and G there as well. Yeah, I don't know. I like Spears a lot. I think he's really, really good. But I got to say, I thought Ronan Capacchio has got better with each game. And I thought yesterday he was outstanding. He was out on his feet by the end of it, but he was absolutely outstanding. Barcelona, who John says, yeah, 100%. Playing. I haven't been that entertained watching Cardiff for a long time. Yeah, like JT says there, Giles hasn't got a number. And I think who is it? Spears, was it? Who haven't got a number. I just think that they're going out on loan. I'd heard that Louis Giles was going to go out on loan to like a League Two or a National League club to get that physicality, just to get battered about a bit. He's got the technical ability, but just needs to be like play men's football, because that's what you got to remember is these kids, they haven't played men's football, like apart from like Joe Corwell and Eli King who've been out on loan. You know, they haven't played men's football. There's a big jump from 21s to League One Championship football. So it's I think you've got to be patient sometimes. Steve says, eyesight, guys, still in a good mood after yesterday. Need to see some incoming. Yeah, I'm in a good mood, but I think look, it's obvious we need a couple. I think even if you look at it from a point of view of we need a left back, obviously. We need a centre back, particularly if Darlin goes. Even without those two, I think we do need a winger. Like Naika Howe hasn't got any minutes, so he obviously doesn't really fancy him. I think he's only been on the bench for the Swindon game as well. So it's not like he's looking at him a potential, like give him 10 minutes if we need a goal, something different, something direct. But then, well, I suppose what you've also got to bear in mind is you bring 3 more players in. That means 3 players from yesterday's squad and Alex Robertson and Perry NG. So that would be another 5 players would not be in the match day squads. It's a lot of players to try to keep happy, which maybe is why they're looking at young players all the time, because I think young players are a bit easier to look at, I guess. I don't know. Bob Bank 27 says, in a perfect world, Bagan would be cover for an incoming left back. I think it depends on the game. I believe that Brian Barry Murphy likes having Bagan on one side, who's more of a support that in the build-up, inverts a little bit, etc. And then he likes the pace on the other side and the width and the underlapping and overlapping. I think he likes the mix. Because if you have 2 fullbacks bombing forward, it can leave you exposed. I think Joe Bagan understands the role and the tactical side of it very well. Although I think against Swindon and yesterday, Joe Bagan was a lot more attacking than he was in the first 2 games. But I accept he needs competition to get the best out of him and to give us a different type of left back as well. Steve says, any truth on the board saying we got a load of free agents training with us next week? So, I mean, all I can tell you is that, so I didn't know that it was next week because people kept asking me about it yesterday and I was like, I don't know. But when I checked with someone, I was looking at it I did ask about last week very specifically, and they said no one, like Nathan Redmond was one of the names which I was asked about. And I was told outright they did not train last week with the club. However, if it is next week, I shall ask that question again and be very specific. Because sometimes people, when you're talking to them, if you're not specific, they will give you a specific answer in it. So you've got to ask them a specific question. But I will find out and I'll let you know. I'm going to be doing the preview tomorrow. I just have not had time to edit the preview with all the graphics and that. So I'm going to do the preview live tomorrow night instead. We'll have a nice little live preview for a change. Josh says, evening everyone. Isn't there a few players on trial this week? Any truth in that? If Rosiak is in there, wouldn't that be a coincidence? I will find out that. In fact, shall I send a text? Yeah, look, it wouldn't shock me. And I'd like Rosiak is an interesting one. He'd be a really good choice, actually. Really good choice. But I'll ask the question. Look, and I'll find out. But yeah, like I don't know, Rosiak, like he's got a lot of talent, but I think someone said it just now. He was on trial at Wickham and they didn't pick him up, so maybe there's something there. I just don't know. McAnee says, "What does BBM see in Chambers that a lot of us don't? Is he talking it down to get more of a fee, or does he rate Chambers that much?" Well, I think there's two sides to it, right? Is like you don't say we want to sell him or we're open to sell him because simply that just lowers his price. But equally, if you don't want to sell, then you're not going to say I don't want to sell. Like he's the captain, but I think what people have to bear in mind with Chambers is BBM didn't select him as captain, so I think that is why maybe he found it easier to drop him. And maybe that's why he likes the players to select the captain and vice captain so that if he needs to, he can drop the captain. And I thought it was the right decision yesterday. I thought Callum Chambers did all right when he came on, 5 minutes, but I think he looked focused. He didn't look very happy, but like who would be 5 minutes and captain dropped, etc. But Tom D says, "Is it true that we want Gabriel Osho?" I know he's been on a list, mate. Same as someone asked me about Rabbi Matondo. The only thing I could tell you about Rabbi was that I know at the start of BBM's reign, Rabbi was on a list of players that we like the look of. I do not know like any further than that. I think he'd be a very good signing, though, Rabbi Matondo. I think Osho would be a good signing as well. But I haven't got anything too concrete on either at the moment. We shall see. Ryan says Colwell can play left back if needs be. I think he played right back more, didn't he, Joel? But I mean, yeah. Just like us to get a left back, innit? Do you know what I mean? Suze makes a great point. Our second goal counted 33 touches from Trott, putting it out to Keane and putting it to the next great patient build-up. Yeah, there was another one early in the second half, where we kind of built all the way from the back up the left, and then it got to Colwell, Tanner, I want to say Turnbull, and the three of them played like a little triangle, like one touch, little back heel, and then Tanner's just like the last little ball to Ruben was just a bit off, but like the speed of it and the skill of it, like that's what I want to see from these. I want to see these players expressing themselves and playing, because my opinion is patient build-up is good, but when we play off 1 and 2 touch, we look levels above the teams that we've played this season. Yesterday, I turned to my missus and my son and I said, this game reminds me of, like over the years when like a Newcastle or someone like that would get relegated to the Championship and you'd watch them up close, and they were just like streets ahead in terms of the football they played, the fitness, just like levels above. They shouldn't be in the Championship sort of thing. And I looked at it and that's what I felt like yesterday. I just thought we looked in every metric, we looked levels above Rotherham. Now, their manager didn't want to give us as much credit as Ian Holloway did, but that's all right because teams won't like it. And I think teams will struggle to play against us. I really do. Josh says, I thought Fish was really good yesterday. He's having a run of games now, showing what he can do. Great range of passing. 100%, mate. My opinion of Fish, right, is I said all season last year he should have been playing. My thing is with him, if he can keep his concentration for 90 minutes, because that was the one hole in his game I kind of saw, and look, everyone can misplace a pass and stuff like that. But I mean, the one thing which I noticed last year towards the end of the season was that he would have a really good game for like an hour and then he'd be defending a corner and he'd just completely switch off and lose his man, or he'd be out of position or something. I haven't seen that this year. Now, there was one game, I think might have been a Peterborough game, where I thought his short passing was a bit sloppy. But since then, I think it's been really good. And I think it would help him to have the same partner for most games. I don't think it helps us to keep rotating the centre backs. I think Trott has also had a good impact on the defenders in terms of relaxing them. They look very relaxed with them. I thought they looked really relaxed with Turner. And in many ways, I feel for Matt Turner because he didn't deserve to lose his spot. But you can see why Trott's been brought in. He is a solid keeper from shot stopping point of view. Very comfortable on the ball. He's always talking to the defenders. I do like him a lot. Right, I'm going to guess through some of these comments. Vlad says, I haven't seen us dominate a game like that for years. The second goal, 32-33 pass move with a perfect finish. We aren't used to that. We're not, mate. Are you not entertained? Is my say. Bob Bank 27 says, if Steve Morrison was in charge and had to sub Mafiko off, the poor lad wouldn't have even wanted to play again. Yeah. And you know what? That's a great point, right? He would have been hauled off, embarrassed, etc. Whereas I would argue that, of course, he didn't want to be taken off and all that. But the ovation, the love he got from the team, the fans, the club, the manager speaking about him, would he have got all of that if he hadn't gone through that difficult experience? It's all part of his development and his learning. And I am 100% positive that he will have had a positive impact on him in the long term. I genuinely believe that. Like, I think it will have a positive impact on him in the long term. Gavin Kellen says, League One forwards, good luck getting past Trot, Fish, Lawler. Real strong back end to the Cardiff team. Yeah, I thought Lawler looked back to his absolute, like, what we were expecting. I don't think he was bad. I think people just, I don't know, overreact, don't they? He just was not as good as he had been, like, for a couple of games, but I still thought he was decent. Dan says, Pacquiao was ridiculously good. The first time I've been able to watch him live under BBM, and wow, what a player we have. First touch is incredible. Reading into the game, top class, and he's so composed. Yeah, it's in those tight spaces, mate. He's really good. And when he, like, you think he's, like, outnumbered, and he'll just drop a shoulder and then just pop it inside or carry it. He's very, very good. And it helps that he's got top recovery. Like, if he is caught a little bit forward or he misjudges the ball or the winger rolls him, he's so quick. His recovery speed is so quick. He's back in. And he's good. His defensive work has massively improved in the last 12 months. Sav says, Bagan's solid. He just looks exposed when the centre-backs don't deal with their own battles. And then Bagan gets sucked in. I think people blame Bagan because he's an easy target. Realistically, he's fine. Yeah, I think he's fine. Don't have one iota of an issue with him. I just think you get the best out of him. And you have an option for the manager to pick which left back do I want for this game. You need two left backs. Bob Bank 27 says Pacquiao playing like a seasoned championship fullback. Really exciting player. Yeah, he'll be playing for Wales, I think, before long. Simply because I think that right back slot is very clearly up for grabs for Wales. Because with the greatest respect, Connor Roberts is not it. And I think loyal servant to Wales and that, but I think Pacquiao will take his place. Yeah, you're right about that, Dan. He says, by the way, that goal we scored, Ashford's goal, it started from the keeper. Rotherham didn't have a touch. If that's Liverpool or Man City, they score, they're loaded. You won't see many better team goals than that this season, 100%. Ryan says, the culture of the club and the way we play now will enhance our chances of getting players of a higher caliber to take us back up. 100%. And you can still sell this club now as a project. Like, yes, we're in League One, but we're only going to be in League One this year. You can sell it as that this summer to people, but it's going to be fascinating. And this is also going to be fascinating, as Graham says. Be interesting what happens with Chambers. I've got to say, and I don't like to speculate on people's body language because you never know what people are going through. You never know what's going on away from football. And you also just never know. Like, some people have just got resting bitch face. Like, I have that a little bit. And people think I'm pissed off sometimes. And I'm not. It's just my face. And I think Callum Chambers is a little bit like that. Like, I think he's a bit aloof and a bit like, I don't think he's that outgoing. So it comes across sometimes as not being happy. So I don't like to speculate, but like he didn't look happy yesterday, in fairness. Bob Bang 27 says Bagan's mare. We could get so much better. Good squad player though. I think that's harsh, but I look, I accept all opinions, Luke Chapman says my Northampton Town team lose yesterday, sadly. Very, very happy. My man Kevin Nolan, our poor game player. Phone in is back on the 1st of September, mate. What's the date? I should know because it's my missus' 40th on Tuesday. Sue says, I was saying after 15, 20 minutes, Mafiko needed to sub. Not disrespectfully, but he was so vulnerable out there. They were targeting him. Yeah, they left a bit on him a few times, which I didn't like. But it's professional football, isn't it? They're going to target him. And it's unfortunate, isn't it? Because he's not a left back. And he is quite slight. Lewis says, Rabi Matondo. Yeah, mate, as I said earlier, I don't know if you caught it, but I know he was on the list. So I have no idea if they've taken it further than that, but I know they'll have had at least conversations. Mark says, what's going to happen with Alex Robertson? I think he gets loaned or sold. I hope Alex stays. I think we'll see the real Alex if he stays, particularly under Brian Barry Murphy. But much like a few other players, I do worry that if money gets offered, that we might sell him. I would be shocked if we loaned him, unless there was a massive buy-on clause at the end that they were committed to. I just think it's pointless. But I think if someone offered a load of money for him, I worry that with Ruben. I just worry that if someone comes in with a boatload of money for someone, we'll sell, because that's what we've done historically. Lewis says, I know Ravi and I've spoken to him and there is conversations. Yeah, as I just said. Keep us informed, Lewis. Bob Bank 27 says, Wimbledon will be another gut check. If we right the wrongs of the Port Vale game, then we'll come away with 3 points. Yeah, by the way, if anyone has got 2 Wimbledon tickets, please message me. There's the one thing my missus asked for her birthday was to go to Wimbledon, and I couldn't get tickets. Gutted. Absolutely gutted. Graham says, has Lawler signed a contract yet? Nope. Sue says, Turnbull was excellent. A player I've always believed had a lot to offer. BBM will bring the best out of him, as he will many players. Yeah. As I said, I think I've said this a couple of times, so I don't want to repeat myself. Against Swindon on Tuesday, right? First 10 minutes, 15 minutes, Turnbull was doing all right. Just all right. He was just coasting, feeding his way into the game. And where I sit, I can obviously see the conversations because I'm so close. And he really got into him and was telling him, get forward, break the lines. And then he started to run beyond, was it Ashford on the right? Yeah. And beyond Ashford, he was underlapping, supporting him. And he really pushed him to go forward. And after that, I thought Turnbull was really, really good. He didn't let him just coast. He did it with Yusuf yesterday. The first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the first drinks break it was in the first half. He really was speaking to Yusuf and he was saying, drop in. And you could see there was a clear plan because straight after the drinks break, Yusuf dropped in. Ruben ran right into the space he created, and he was inches away from getting to Ruben through with the ball over the top. It's those patterns of play. But he wanted Yusuf to not just stand up front waiting for the ball. He wanted him to drop in, to link up play, to get involved, not just get stuck battling the centre-backs. And he did that. And then obviously he scores a bit later and he's even better. But I thought Yusuf had his best game of the season yesterday. Josh says, Wimbledon, another back five would be a tough test. Yeah, do you know, here's a question for you. Would you change our system slightly knowing what happened at Port Vale, like I know he likes the single pivot, 2 really energetic high number 8s. Would you flip it to a more 4-2-3-1, like with a sort of someone playing off Yusuf sort of in between the midfield? So say Ruben between the midfield and have a midfield 2. You could go with Joel Colwell and Wintle, or if you wanted that extra physicality, you could even go with Eli King and Wintle. I'm not sure I want to see that, because I think that fundamentally changes the way we play. But equally, it does give you a bit of physicality. I don't know. I on one side, I'm like, do you know what? Let's just let other teams worry about us. Like, I think Joel Colwell's really unlucky not to be starting football matches at the moment. But I think Di Turnbull just offers a little bit more control in possession. He's one who can control tempo of a game, whereas Joel is more of a carrier. And what a carrier he is, by the way. I think, Joel is a real player. Like, I was speaking to a friend of mine this morning, and I said, like, a couple of years, Joel will be as highly rated as Ruben is. He doesn't think that they're like, he thinks Ruben's just streets ahead. Like, but I really believe that. Like, I think Joel Colwell has got the ability, he's got the energy. They're different players, they're different types of players. But I think Joel Colwell is going to be a real player. I think both of them are just ridiculous. And we should build our side around both. 2 assists for Turnbull, indeed. Wimbledon have got 4 or 5 6'2" players. We know what's coming. Yeah, they will be physical. They will bombard us. And it is what it is. Ellis says, lots of real fans in the chat. McInerney says, I reckon he might play Chambers at Wimbledon, but not Luton. So do you know what I would actually do? Is I would play Chambers at Wimbledon. I would play him in the number 6 to give the defense that bit of physical protection. Ryan Wintle hasn't done anything wrong, but maybe he could do with a break. He's played every game. And I think having Chambers in the 6 in front of Fish and Lawler gives a bit of extra protection, because when the opposition at the moment get a free kick in their own half and they're going to launch it, Ruben sprints back and stands in front of the defenders where the number 6 would be, to be the aerial sort of shield and get up for the headers, which is great. I'm glad that we're finally using all of his attributes. But, you know, Chambers in there as well gives you that extra bit of height, like, you know. McAnee said, I wonder who in Scotland wanted to, but apparently it was Aberdeen, mate. I don't know that for 100%, but I think that was the name I heard. 2 very tough away games coming up, as Paul says there. Do we find a different way to play away, or does BBM keep as is? I think you've got to play each game as... I think you have to look at the opposition, look at what they offer, look at what their danger points are, and then pick the best side for that. I'd really like to see us... I'd like to see it. Like, on one hand, I just would love us to go, do you know what? No, we're going to be us. We're going to play like we play, and you've got to deal with it. I love that attitude. On the other side of it, I'm like, I've been really impressed with BBM in many different ways. I'd love to see him come up with like a tactical plan to play away against these big physical sides, and that to be the way, like the blueprint, where he's just a bit of a tactical... Yeah, like Jamie says there, I had said that NG was out until December. That was what I did, mate. I also clarified it with, I don't know for sure, because I had said many times that there was a lot of mixed things about it. Someone had said 2 weeks. The person who had told me is you're normally pretty spot on. He had said December. Someone else had said about 6 weeks. Obviously, is where it is, mate. Jumpers for Goalpost says, can't see us being bullied by anyone like Port Vale again. That was a great learning experience. We battled for a hard-earned point. We'll be targeted, of course, but our football will shine through. Yeah, I thought against Swindon, second half, Swindon tried to bully us. And I thought we stood up to it really well. And I'll say it again, then number 10 was been massive. Steve says, yes, this next games will show where we are, both tough games. Don't change the way we're playing. Plenty of confidence in the lads. It's going to be fascinating to see what we do, because I would take 4 points from the next two. I got to be honest. I think it's 2 difficult games. If you can somehow come away with 6, I think you are flying. Then you can really start to believe. Right. That hour has flown by, mind. I got to pick my son up. I'm going to be in trouble now. Vlad says, Tan and Dalman are fools if they don't back BBM properly. We need reinforcements to consistently challenge. It's just a big old slog, mate, isn't it? Like this season. It's not just like the League One in itself. Just League One is a big old slog. But then you add in the flipping all the different trophies and cups. You've got to get bodies in there to support. But it's also, you've got to keep everyone happy. Bob Bank says, I don't think it was ever really clear, Jamie, how long NG was out for. Yeah, look, I'm a big boy. I was told December, and I said it on a show. But like I said, I also heard that he was out for different periods. Like, he's never concrete. Like I said, he's definitely out till December. And if he's not, it's what it is. Bob Bank 27, Stevenage look a horrible team to play against. They could be dark horses. I said that to someone yesterday. They look like they got a couple of players. Who else we got? We don't need a midfielder. We have King, Colwell as backup, and also Robertson to return. Chambers can play there too. I agree with you, Dan, but I would say one thing. I do agree with that. Like, it's probably not a position that we're desperate for. But I think the right kind of number 6 completely revolutionizes what we've already built. If you put like an athletic, physical, quick ball playing number 6 in there who can cover yards but also get on the ball, I think that completely transforms the way we play in a positive way. Like, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, no. So I did clarify and say I specifically asked about Nathan Redmond last week, but then someone in the comments said that they had said that it was next week, because I don't go on any of the forums, so I didn't know where it was from. But I will ask the question again to the same person, but I'll say next week, because if you don't ask these, if you're not specific, it's like, do you know what I mean? He wasn't training last week, but he is training this week. So it's like, yeah. So I'll find out. Easy enough. Ellis says, what's your opinion on some of the things being posted on CardiffForum.co.uk about City? I dislike the ownership, but some of the things they twist to be negative or horrific. I got to be honest, mate. As I just said, I don't go on them. So unless you gave me like a specific example, I wouldn't be able to comment. Like, I got no issue with Anis. I get on, like, I've spoken to him a few times. I get on with him relatively well. He's always been quite, he's been sound to me. From what I know, he speaks quite highly of the channel and my work. So, it's what it is, isn't it? Like, I don't go on there, so I can't really give an opinion. But there we go. Sue says, it's a long season. Got to stay fit. Hopefully the hamstring curse of last season is behind us. Touch wood. Was that down to the way we trained? I don't know, Sue. There seems to be loads of hamstring injuries everywhere. Gavin says, I think in Malky's first season when we went up to the Premier League, I want to say we won 10 home games from the start of the season. I think we're on course to repeat that again. Touch wood, mate. Jeez. A couple of people asking about Oshu. All right. I will do I will text some people when I finish this. I've got to go pick my son up. I will text some people and remind me in the preview tomorrow at the end, and I'll answer some questions about what I've heard back from transfers. But like, my view on social media generally is like you get a lot of overreactions. You get people who dislike certain people or players, and that's always going to skew their opinion. Like, because we're all only human, right? And the other side of it is we're all emotionally involved. So we might be able to talk about the Premier League and be objective. Like when I do a show with Rhodri, I find it easier to be more objective because I don't support any of those teams. When I talk about Cardiff, I'm always going to have like a different slant on it because I'm emotionally invested and I'm passionate about it. If I talk about Swansea, I'm always going to go the other way because I fucking hate them. Excuse my French for the people who don't like swearing. Can't keep everyone happy all the time. But what I try to encourage on the channel is everyone have an opinion. Doesn't matter if you agree, don't mind that. But just don't be a dick to each other. And that's all I try to encourage us all to be balanced and look at it from both angles, look at it from all sides. And we try our best to be balanced, and I try my best to get that over to the lads who do the stuff. We should have first vlog from the girls as well on Tuesday, hopefully. That's an interesting question to finish on. There we go. CCFC insiders, do you think some are being too dismissive of Chambers? Seeing some say he's our worst player, strip him of the captaincy, what happened to letting a player have a couple of bad games? Yeah, I think it's mental, mate. Like, I am by no means his biggest fan in terms of playing, and I think we should have sold him in the summer. We didn't, and we haven't. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the captain of Cardiff City, and we should get behind him. However, I can't ignore the fact that he gives me palpitations when he plays at centre back. As a CDM, I think that's his best position because I think he reads the game really well. He's defensively decent in that position. He's not immobile, so he can get across and cover the space he needs to cover. And his reading of the game helps him do that. He's also good on the ball, and he's experienced. And I think in the BBM system is so important that the person who's playing in the six is really not necessarily experienced, but is able to read the game really well, dictate and talk to the players around them, whether that's the defense, other midfielders. They need to be able to communicate effectively, which I think he does. And I think while he's at Cardiff, I will support him. When we talk about his performances, I will be honest as I am with all of them. But like, if you were asking me, like, the one for me is I wouldn't sell him just for the sake of selling him. If Wrexham won him, I'd be trying to get O'Connell out because I said we should have signed O'Connell anyway. But that's not necessarily because of Chambers. That's because I want O'Connell. So if they want him, do it. But yeah, mate, it's social media, innit? Like, football fans, social media, I don't know why it's the internet, but the patience, and people just got no patience anymore. Like, it's just like negativity sells, doesn't it? On like everything. But I don't know. I try not to buy into it too much, mate, but I try to be as balanced as possible. But yeah, look, some people, they're so frustrated by the board and the owner and the lack of football structure, which of course I am as well. I feel like I've done too many videos and content about the football structure and this, that, and the other. But like, I can't go down that like rabbit hole of being negative all the time. I have to try and find some positives because I just drive myself nuts. And like, I talk about Cardiff City every single day. And, you know, not just on this channel, but on Dragon Sports and Talk Sport. And like, if I just get lost in like the negative side of it and the stuff that I am frustrated by, it becomes very depressing. And then I don't want to do content for you guys on the channel. And I don't want to do stuff different places. So I don't know what I choose to be like. And by the way, it's ironic because I am a miserable bastard when it comes to my general demeanor. But there we go. That's got to be sarcastic, Josh, surely. Worst player is Salic. Can't stand the fella. He's useless. Got to be. Right. I'm going to just pick, I'm going to pick a couple of comments quickly. There's so many comments, guys. I tried to get through as many as I can. Obviously, if there's a comment or something which you really want, definitely to be seen, you can do it as a super chat and they will always get read out. But I've tried to get through as many as I can. Phil says, Kumas would be the player for us. The guy has a good engine, makes things happen and knows where the goal is. Yep. Another one that was on the list, the early list with Gabby, Charlie Crew. Obviously, Charlie Crew's gone somewhere else. Rabi Matondo. They've got to wait for him to be loaned out, haven't they? So, is what it is. What's your opinion of Kieran Lovelady? It's very high, mate, but I will do a video on him like I've done on Kevin Gibbons and have a proper deep dive into it. But the stuff that I know of him is positive. But I will speak to some people and I will do some research and I'll give you a proper opinion. Before then, McAneish says, do you think Luke Pearce will get first team game this season? Yeah, probably towards the end of the season, mate, unless we have a load of injuries. I actually wouldn't mind seeing him be on the bench anyway, just as a different option, because I think his pressing is exceptional. Ian says Colwell, Tanner, Bagan on one side, Turnbull, Ashford, Kipakio on the other side. They all seem to have a good understanding between them. Yeah, it was weird. On Tuesday and on yesterday, when Joel came on, they switched Turnbull to the other side. So I don't know whether that's because they want Joel on the right side, or I'm not really sure why that was, but interesting nonetheless. Ellis says, not many clubs are building like we are. Some of the best young talent in Wales, some of the best coaches in training. Not even just the best young talent in Wales, mate. Some of the best young talent in the UK. But they're young. So we've got to relax. Sometimes, some of these players, so who have we praised? Ronan Kipakio, Joel Colwell, Dylan Lawler, even Ruben Colwell, Will Fish. At some point in the next couple of weeks, they're going to slip up. They're going to have a bad game. Don't lose your shit. They're young players. They're human beings. This is what it is, isn't it? Right. I will leave you with this. Oh, Josh, can you send me that list of those players, please, on social media or something, please? Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., tickets go on sale, general sale, for our live event with Graham Kavanagh, which is literally a month and 2 days away. So on the 19th of September, it is going to be an absolute belter. It's a tenner. Bargain. There's limited tickets. We've sold quite a few over the weekend to members. Come on down and have a great night with a legend. There's £10 tickets, or you can get £20 tickets where you get a bit of early access and, personalized meet and greet, whatever you want to call it. So there you go. Yeah, man. So yeah, get your tickets 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you're not a member, and if you are a member, then hopefully you've already got them, because they gonna go. Judging by how many we sold over the weekend, they're gonna go quick. So yes, indeedy. Yeah, Mafiko 100% didn't let himself down. Just having a quick check. See if there's any more questions. Yeah, so Bob Bank 27 says, Si, if you can't make the away games, have you thought about doing a live watch along? Yes, I have. Might do. I won't be this Tuesday because it's my missus' birthday. That might lead to a fucking divorce. But she does like football, see, and she likes Cardiff. She followed them before she met me, so that's one bonus. But I am still hoping that I can somehow get tickets for Tuesday, clinging to that. And yeah, we'll see in it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. I will be back tomorrow for the live preview, and then Rob and Matt are doing the member show straight after that. There'll probably be a video out tomorrow lunchtime as well, because I'm generous like that. Can you sing her happy birthday? I mean, you can. She's camera shy. So yeah, I would go back three. Gavin says, did we go to a back three when Chambers came on? It looked like Lawler went on the right wing, or we're right back now. Lawler just went to right back. However, in pre-season training, they did quite a lot of training with a three at the back. And which game was it? It was the last game in pre-season. We used the back three. I just wonder whether we might match up some of these teams who play three at the back, like the ones who are going to be really physical. Because I actually think it suits a lot of our players as well. So, but yeah. Right then, guys, in the comments, let me know, what should we ask the question this week? I had a good one, I just forgotten it. There we go. Kind of been that good. Indeed. Right, nice one. As always, really appreciate it. It's always a good time. Make sure you tune into Newport City Radio tomorrow from 11 for an hour with me. Nakanish is desperate for me to play Elephant Stone for my anthem tomorrow. Maybe, mate. Play Guest of the Year, all that stuff. It's all good. Always a good time and a good way to start your week. If you get their Monday morning blues, then that is the place to be. Listen to that, and the music will cheer you up. We'll play a bit of house, bit of indie, bit of hip-hop, get you right up for the week. Remember now, if you hear of any Wimbledon tickets on sale, you know you love me. Right. Keep it faith, my friends. And we'll be here again tomorrow, because we're here 7 days a week. All things Cardiff City, all the time. Take it easy. And I'll see you in a bit, innit? This episode of Cardiff City World is brought to you by Coral, the proud sponsor of the TalkSport Fan Network. Here for all kinds of fans. For the armchair experts, whether you're constantly negative, overly positive, or maybe even the instant over-the-top reaction social media guy or girl. For the football fashionistas still clinging to the legendary terrace fashion of yesteryear, or the best retro gear from Michael Thorne. The nostalgia merchants dreaming of the old lady Ninian Park, or still celebrating Campbell's goal in the Millennium Stadium. Whatever kind of fan you are, with Coral's free-to-play reward shaker with a guaranteed daily reward or offer throughout the season, simply shake your phone to win. Over 18s only, maximum one reward or offer per player per day, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Reward restrictions and requirements and other T's and C's apply. For more information on safer gambling, visit gambleaware.org.
Yeah, straight away, won the header. Cardiff playing on with Lowe, only Earnshaw in the middle. Kavanagh! 3-0, that's it now. Kavanagh, onto that right foot, not a bad try! It's a tremendous goal! What a hit from Kavanagh! He's done hot.
Cardiff desperately looking for the second goal. It's Kavanagh! Well, he doesn't score simple tap-ins, this man, does he?
It is Kavanagh with the free kick. Oh, what an equaliser from Graham Kavanagh! Superb free kick. Everybody expecting the cross, but that was absolutely brilliant. Nigel Martin beaten at his near post, and Cardiff City, after going a goal behind, are back on level terms, and there's bedlam here at Ninian Park. Wow.
We want it, but we love.
Rascal Beats.
For your Caesar, Cardiff City, ride with me for your Caesar.